with Charlie Kirk to help win the 2024 election. I watch the show every day at 12 noon on Real America's Voice, carries them, and so I understand what they do, and they've made a real impression in the young people through Charlie Kirk. And him going to speak on college campuses, and we have a loss without them, but the young people stepping up. And this young man is one of them that stepped up. And I don't want to group your last name up, okay? How do you pronounce it?
Polczynski.
Polczynski.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tim Polczynski from Turning Point Action, really impressive young man that I just met him at an event and asked him if he'd come speak for us.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you deliver the message, brother. All right? We're going to record you, okay?
It's all good. How's everybody doing today?
Good, and yourself?
Doing well. Had a nice drive from Montgomery County. I'd like to thank you guys for coming. I understand the weather's nice. There's a bunch of other things everybody can be doing right now, but obviously this is a very crucial time, not only on the national level, but here in Pennsylvania. We have the upcoming gubernatorial race. We have the midterms. It's very important that we target our voters and get them out to vote. That's the thing that Turning Point Action has recognized, that we don't have to convince moderate Dems or independents to vote Republican. We have enough Republican voters specifically here in Pennsylvania. For instance, Stacey Garrity holds the record for the #1 vote getter in Pennsylvania history. We just need to mobilize our base. Like Bill said, a lot of people are confused on the difference in Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. And so it comes down to nonprofit status. And so Bill said it best, we're the political arm of Turning Point. We're involved in the communities, we're involved in the elections, we're recruiting precinct committeemen, we're registering voters, and we're starting coalitions in the communities to keep people motivated and mobilized every month. And we hold super chase events to have volunteers knock doors closer to election day. And there's so much that can be done in the Lehigh Valley. Obviously, the Congressman McKenzie being up for re-election is very, very important to keep him in office. Bob Brooks, to put it simply, is just a scumbag. I'll be nice. That's the nice way to put it. Bob Brooks is a scumbag. I need to make sure that keep somebody like that out of Congress. I won't try to take up too much of everybody's time today, but I do want to. Bill touched on a lot of important subjects, like H-1B visas and the flaws in the education system. And if we don't get out in the communities and get to these events and register voters and talk to the next generation of kids, it's my future. That's why I decided to step up the way I did. It's my future. And 20 years from now, I'm the one that's going to be owning a home, and I'm going to have kids that are going to the elementary schools. I care about what the teachers are going to be teaching my children. My first job, or my only job that wasn't political related, I worked in an elementary school in King of Prussia, which is a town over from my hometown. I just did before and after care, helping kids with their homework, playing sports with them, whatsoever. And one day I found myself in an argument with a group of first grade boys because they said their teacher told them they could become pregnant when they're older. And they could be women and they could give birth. And I had to tell them that scientifically, biologically, factually, that's not true. And I got told if I told the children that again, I would lose my job. And that's when I realized it's not just, California, it's not just New York. It's here in my hometown, it's in your hometown, it's everywhere. So, and these kids are so innocent, and you're telling 5 and 6 year olds that, you can be whatever you want, you can be a woman, and this is normal, and this is okay. They're so young and naive. By the time they get to 15 and 16 years old and they have concrete opinions, they think that stuff is normal. So we have to get out to these fairs, we have to get out to all the community events, and we have to show everybody that we are the ones that care. We're the ones that want the communities to be safe. We want the kids to be able to go to the parks. We want the parks to be clean. We want the schools to be teaching about American history, about our founding fathers, about the people who risked their lives and gave their lives for us to even have the ability to meet here today. And if we don't, it'll all be abandoned. We see it, they get rid of the statues, they erase our history, it's insane, the things that are happening in the education system. So I have a forum here today. It's for our Turning Point Action action coalitions. It's just the way that I do. We're asking how many people in the Lehigh Valley are looking to get involved. We're going to set up a coalition within the next month or so throughout the summer. We'll be hosting coalition events. They'll be energized. Hopefully we can get maybe some AAA baseball games, host a memorial for Charlie sometime in the summer. Just some more energized events in the community to show people we're here and what we stand for, and get more people on our side ahead of November. So I'll pass the form along to everybody who hasn't signed it already. And like I said, thank you everybody for coming out today. And like I said, the letter's beautiful, so it's a lot of things you guys could have done. Thank you for stepping up and wanting to be king. Thank you.
You gotta stay up there.
Stay up there?
You got a lot more time than that first of all, okay?
I'm a quick speaker. It was good. It was good.
I tried to have more time. Now we do a Q&A with you, okay?
Perfect.
All right.
Any questions?
I got a
Yes,
question.
sir.
Looking at the polling results in Lehigh County, what surprised me this time around, that there were more actual people who showed up on election day than mail-in ballots. And the worst part is that the Republicans are falling still way behind the Democrats, not only in total numbers, but the surprising part, especially if you're looking city of Allentown or whatever, because we're outnumbered like 2-1, the percentage of people showing up in the Republican, when you look at each polling place, if you look at all 158 of them, percentage is way below the Democrats, significantly. So what's happening on the Republican Party statewide? I mean, have you seen things like that happen? Like, we're the third largest city here, you know?
I would say right now, you have a lot of Republican voters that are angry on the national level, and they try to take that out on the local congressmen. And also, Republicans are notorious for not showing up in primaries, not showing up in midterms, and that's why it's so important for us to get our message out. I'll say I have the data book in my car that goes through all the precincts that have traceable ballots here. It's sorted by county, but it's for the whole state of Pennsylvania. I have a few of them in my car I'll try to grab for everybody, and that way it goes to show basically which precincts throughout all of the Lehigh Valley have the most low propensity Republican voters, and that way you know where to target most, where this neighborhood has up to 240 low propensity Republican voters, so you know where to knock doors and where to send mailers. So I'll say I do recognize the problem. I live in Plymouth Township, if anybody's familiar with that. It's right next to Norristown. It's in Montgomery County. Just in my local precinct, we had some record low turnout on election day in May. So I mean, I definitely see what you're saying. I think there's Republicans that are angry on a national scale, and that's why they didn't turn out. And like I said, notorious, so they don't show up in primaries and midterms. But I'm hoping that through our work and early vote action, PA Chase, that we can get not only Republicans out in November, but through mailings. We know the amount of mailings we need. So, for instance, I don't know the exact data off the top of my head, but for President Trump's victory, they set out a number. I believe it was about 33% mail-in ballots, and they said if we get 33% mail-in ballots, we can achieve 35.5. President Trump won in Pennsylvania. So when you crunch the numbers down, we know what percentage of mail-in ballots we need. We know where we need them from. It's just a matter of us being in those neighborhoods and chasing these ballots. So like I said, I will get one of those booklets, or a few of those booklets for everybody, so that you can do your part in the area. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I got a lot of questions. Okay? Because we're dealing with issues. This is the second time our congressman, okay, has done something that the base is upset about. All right? And a lot of young people, what I'm hearing, are upset with Ryan McKenzie again, okay, who's my congressman that I'm working for and communicating on a regular basis, okay? Because I know him since he's 5 years old.
Yeah.
All right? But yet, he has voted with the Democrats to approve the FISA. People need to understand the FISA is what comes after people like you and me. All right? That's the thing that we went through where conservatives were drug in front of courts and stuff. It's the same thing with January 6th, or what they did with people at January 6th. where they drug him in and held him in prison, okay, for anywhere, Trump basically pardoned him, okay, to get him out. But the issue when our congressman steps outside for whatever reason and does stuff like that, it makes your job harder, it makes my job harder, and without him explaining it, okay, which I'm going through all the stuff he sent me, I've spent time on the phone with him today, because I'm getting calls, and they're asking me, what do you know about it? He just done this. Yes, I know, he also did it before, when he went with, he said, well, they knew that the Senate would not put it on the floor. So they stepped out and voted for something, okay? I had a meeting with him and about 25 people that were invitational only who get answers for what he did. And I knew exactly what he was gonna say because I went over it with him, but he had to explain it to the voters, the activists, basically, because everyone that gets involved with me are activists. They all get in touch with a lot of different people, okay? And,
Bill, wasn't that the one where the Lawler and some of the New York people too were talking about changing the percentage when they were doing the big beautiful bill?
yes, it was.
And it had to do with changing the percentage that you could write off on local taxation.
Right. There's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, so he switched over with the Democrats
Yeah.
there. Lawler was
Yeah,
there
he
too.
touched over because the Democrats wanted, in their states, wanted up in New York to be able to write all this stuff off. So they wanted to get the big beautiful bill back open for them. And him and the one up that you told me about, up in your area, that was up there in Monroe County and parts of.
Ron Desmond.
Yeah, Ron, yes. He jumped over and he signed on, and we understand the Polk County one always does that. But when they aligned with him and the Democrats,
That was over Obamacare.
that had to deal with Obamacare, it had to do with also opening up write-offs and stuff, okay? Knowing it was gonna die in the Senate, and the district they're in, our head of the Congress instructed them, okay, that they're not gonna be disciplined to do this, okay? All right, because you're in a purple district. I understand the purple district, but there's too many conservatives, if they don't vote, you're not getting reelected.
Yeah.
That's the problem, okay? So how do you deal with that, and how is your organization, Turning Point Action, gonna deal with that when we're struggling in that areas?
I would say, in terms of conservatives being angry, like specifically, like not everybody's going to know Congressman McKenzie the way you know him, and so, like you said, the purple district is one thing, and ahead of November, it's going to come down to being in the community and explaining to voters, you know, why I guess it takes votes on certain bills. At the end of the day, we have to explain to them who Bob Brooks is and what it really comes down to. Like, for instance, you know, I don't agree with President Trump on 100% of issues. You know, those times that, you know, I disagree with what he does, but I trust in him that he's making the right decision. But there's not a single day that goes by that I think Kamala Harris has been a better option.
Right.
Ever. Not a single second that goes by. And so that has to be, I think, the message that we are out in the community giving to the voters is that, listen, you might be unhappy with Congressman McKenzie or Congressman Bresnahan, etc., about certain bills. But on the other hand, you might get stuck with Bob Brooks, who has embezzled hundreds of dollars. He's just as corrupt as they come. Is that what you want because you're unhappy about one specific bill? You know, you could get out. I would urge the people who are upset with Congressman McKenzie to call his office, try to get an answer from him, try to urge him to vote differently. But the grass is not greener on the other side.
I understand that. We've been held for years hostage by our Congress and by our senators, and we've been left with when Romney ran. Think about it. We all went with Romney, okay? And yet,
I mean, so
you understand what I'm talking
yeah.
about?
So for right now, I'll say I believe, you know, we're stuck with what we have.
Yeah, but that's what our head's always been, we've stuck with what we've got.
Well, I'll say Turning Point Action as a company, when I was training with them, one of the biggest things that we talked about was just as much as we want to fight the left, we're here to fight the establishment right.
Right.
So me personally, I was in Indiana on election day. We got, I think it was 12 incumbent Republicans out in the state legislature, 12 Rhino Republicans. So
Right.
that's what we're here to do as an organization. We're here to fight the establishment right and make sure that we get real conservatives in office.
Mhm.
But for right now, ahead of this 2026 midterm and gubernatorial race, we have our candidates and we need to back them as much as
I
possible.
understand that, but this is the problem that I'm talking about. How do we change he just explained to you the vote that we got this time. The primary was disastrous. The special election was disastrous. Something we could have won, and yet our voters stayed home. Okay? We could have a state legislature in there right now.
Yeah,
Republican conservative.
you could be our.
He could be
deciding vote on
sitting in
everything.
the state legislature right now, except our Republicans sit home, they're not activated. How can you help us, working together with your organization, our organization,
Getting them out?
okay, and getting this taken care of? So that's my concern.
Well, I'm a little confused on the question is, how can I help with getting the voters out? So what we'd like to do, so through the coalition forum, I'm looking to start certain coalition groups that'll be hosting monthly, maybe even bi-monthly meetings like this. There'll be, hopefully we can go to some AAA baseball games, stuff like that, where we can grow an audience of conservatives, maybe even libertarians, people who have similar morals and principles as us, and we have these energized events all throughout the summer, and we keep growing and growing our base so that when it comes to September, October, right ahead of election day, we're out knocking doors, we're chasing ballots, we have an army of people. So that's what we're here to do throughout the summer. We're looking to build these coalitions out to 100, 200 people in each region of the Northeast Pennsylvania. And so now that when election season really comes, we have an army of people out there behind our candidates.
So how much territory do you cover?
I cover from Montgomery County all the way through the Poconos, the whole Northeast.
Okay, what's Delaware County too?
Yeah.
Who's down there?
Her name is Mallory. Mallory's Stowell.
Okay,
She covers Delco, Bucks, Philadelphia, Chester,
okay.
like south.
So you're all the way north from
Yes.
Montgomery County.
Yes.
Montgomery County and up.
Yeah, to the border.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Bill, I can add one thing on that. If you're talking about actually, like, what do you say to get that Republican voter to poll literally? Go out and you sell your local candidates. Because if they're coming out to vote for Bob Smith or Joe Pawlowski or Laura Campisi or Karen Lowry, they're not going to get to the rest of the ballot and vote for anybody. If you get them out for a local Republican, you vote Republican the rest of that ballot, and then it saves you the trouble of trying to sell Ryan McKenzie's bad decisions. You don't have to. You can sell what Bob Smith has to offer. You can sell what Joe Pawlowski has to offer. Way easier than you can defend an incumbent's record. And that's what I found in the door knocking in the primary season. It's a lot easier for me to talk about the local guys than I know personally, and I can share personal anecdotes. The first one, so this guy sounds great. Then we don't even have to get into the Trump and McKenzie and what's going
The
on
national
there.
stuff, yeah.
Talk about the local guys that you know personally, that you met. You go, I just saw Bob Smith the other night. He's a great guy. He's really involved in everything. Just share that. Don't try to defend McKenzie's votes that you can't defend. Talk about people you know you like, and if they come out to vote Republican, you're probably going to vote for McKenzie.
So,
Yes, sir.
so I went to a TP Action meeting after the November 24 election, and I went to the session where the software guy that developed the software for the door knockers, which I think PA Chase used, I'm not sure. But the concept that he explained was, and the reasons they got such good results in Arizona, is they basically had the door knockers be community organizer types, where their main thing was ask them what they're interested in, whoever lives there, don't just give them the pitch and go back. Where what we did here locally was just knock on the door till someone came out and answered the survey. And that's kind of what, if you listen to some of the Democratic states, that's what they've been doing. They pay their local organizers full-time, living in their specific neighborhood, and the voters know them because they develop a relationship. And to me, that's the model.
No, definitely. So that's why I was saying over the summer we'd love to build out these coalitions, so it is people that are from each community. So that, when they're knocking doors, they're doing it on the TP Action app. The way the TP Action app is structured is it gives you the 10 doors closest to where you are. So if you're just log in from home, it's giving you the 10 closest low propensity targeted Republican voters from your house. So it might be the guy that lives 2 doors down. You say, hey Joe, I'm here to knock on your door and make sure you know we're getting you requested for a mail-in ballot come November. And you know what I mean? Once you're done with those 10, it'll give you a fresh 10 from there. You can just leave that back there. Thank you so much. Yes, the TP Action app, that's how it's structured, so that you have people that are actually from the community knocking doors in their community, and it's building a more relationship rather than just a transactional knock on the door, hey, we're asking you for so-and-so. It's somebody that they actually know and are comfortable speaking with.
You know, when I think about it and I compare what my experience was knocking on doors, it's not so easy though to develop a relationship because a lot of the people aren't interested in one.
Totally.
You know, and so it sounds good, but however they did it in Arizona, they had a huge turnout. And I saw the results of the election that Bill's talking about. The Democrats had at least double the turnout, but their double was 20-30% to like 10% of the Republicans, which is pretty shocking. You know, it's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really.
No, I agree. Does anybody else have this question? Is that it? If you guys think of any, I will be back here. It won't be far.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you guys.